There we go. Okay, so now that we have, for the first time with the education subcommittee, we have a quorum. So if we want to do part of, I guess you maybe nominate a chairperson that would lead our meetings, and then we can have official meetings. Does anybody want to nominate themselves or someone to elect?
Nominate Sandra.
All right, we have a nomination for Sandra.
I'll second that, Greg.
I don't know if I should say thank you or why me.
Exactly. Well, that confirms my vote. You're an intelligent person.
All right. Anybody else, or two for Sandra? Sounds like it's Sandra to me, but
I guess we should all vote. I think we should all vote now.
all right.
Nomination on second vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, Sandra, I think it's you.
It's
Motion
official.
carries.
It's official. Congratulations.
Yay, thank you.
Oh. It looks like the first item on the agenda is a discussion of the previous presentation from the waste haulers about their educational materials and outreach efforts. I have to say, I was impressed with how much was being done. The presentations were very helpful.
Yes, I appreciated all the time. I know Andy's on here. Hillary isn't here, but she presented, I think, at the full committee, if I remember right. And I still had asked Todd from Republic to present, but he's at a conference, I think, today. So we'll still try to get him to come. No reason not to. But I was hoping, I mean, you know, everything presented was great, and the efforts and work and websites and everything are great. I felt like I wasn't sure if I was hearing a lot of very local work, though. I know.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What did you just say?
I didn't either.
Sorry, there wasn't a lot of local work or efforts, I guess, or at least I don't know. I guess I was hoping to learn more about, and Andy did touch on it some with the accounts and everything, but a little bit more specific as far as what's happening in Louisville. Rumpke has a lot of their market, you know, a lot of what they do is in Ohio. And they have some great programming, but I couldn't really tell like how much of that is also being done here, which I know it's tricky with a couple of different MRFs. But did anyone else think that or have thoughts about that?
Actually, I didn't have trouble because that wasn't what I was looking for. I was more looking for what kind of information is being put out, how clear would it be if I didn't know anything. And I thought to a large extent, that was what they were telling us. I didn't feel that the locality was as much of a target as the content and the format of the content.
I would agree.
Well, I completely agree that
I think I thought
content is good. Yeah.
There were things we do that, but that doesn't mean we can't do them. In other words, it could be that that's something that we should strive to add to our lists. That's how I saw the difference between what they do there and here.
There's Pete.
Sorry about the
So we were Pete, still kind of on that. Well, first of all, there's a quorum. Yay. So Sandra's now our chair. Um, and we are looking at discussing the presentations that we had from WM and Republic, not Republic, Rumpke, Andy and Hillary. And Sandra was saying that the content she was looking at, she was really interested in what kind of materials they had and the content and how clear it was, and that we all agree that that is good. Everybody has great information out there and good content. I was thinking more of how is that material being given out or engaged with Louisville people. So I was just mentioning that I didn't think there was a whole lot of or that wasn't the focus, I guess, of the presentation, which as far as knowing what's being given to customers or what kind of engagement is happening right here in Louisville. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on any of that.
Actually, one of the things, as you know, because we've talked about it over the years, I'd like to see is something where we do something that can be fed out and picked up by other things like HOA newsletters and you know, websites for small cities, stuff like that. And I almost wonder if a lot of what they showed us was good, but I don't have it anymore. I almost wonder if we couldn't put together some kind of a packet, or it's fine if it goes on, you know, media, but it needs to be in a way that we can print it and look at it. But I could use a follow-up if that's what you're saying, because I do think we could get it much more out locally than we do right now.
Yeah, okay. I think actually that was, and I didn't send a reminder about that, but I think Bruce had mentioned for Rumpke that they would send materials as if we were new customers.
You're right, he did.
And I don't think I've gotten that, so I can reach back out and follow up about that.
I think one of the things that we got to keep in mind is that what we send out, we need to be consistent across all of the different haulers. That's what we're looking for, is to get that consistency. And that was the reason that we asked for each to present their information so that we can see that. So I agree, Sandra, that there needs to be a place where we hold all these things. And then this committee works on how we can make that messaging consistent that goes out to the HOAs. I think absolutely that's how it needs to get out. But we have to make sure that we're meeting our goal of consistent messaging before it goes.
Yeah, we agree. I think the only thing it wasn't me, but somebody brought up at a couple of meetings ago that we shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel if something's already available. And everybody seemed to say we could steal what they had, which I thought was really quite nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
I agree too. And it's, you know, I guess that's part of the planning and figuring out the best way to create materials that are more from the waste district, but of course for anyone, and if it means, you know, including logos, that's fine, or not, just making it the district. But yeah, just some materials that would be accurate for all. And so any outreach efforts, whether it's staff through the district here or staff, you know, any education staff that's with any of our haulers, they could use the same materials, really.
Karen, didn't we also talk about trying to get the recycling partnership to do a presentation for us? Because they may have some good information too on how to bring multiple companies together to have that across the board consistent messaging too, and share and merge information.
Yeah, we can definitely ask about that. We actually, for the next meeting, the recycling partnership is coming. but it's more specific to capture rate studies, which I am hoping that what comes out of that meeting might actually feed into this one as well, because you know what we determine as goals for the capture rate study will have to do with education. So so I think it'll just sort of bleed into this eventually as well. But yeah, I guess you know, we meet different people and they have a lot of staff on for different things. So
We
I
do,
can reach
yes.
out though and maybe find out which staff person would be best equipped to help with something like that.
Karen, can we create a Google Docs drive that everybody can dump their education information into? That can be available to everybody here, that you can peruse and look at things across the board. And I think that that way we can pull the consistency part from each one. And you know, we have to have that information first before we can do it. But is that something that we can do?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the best method for that.
Yeah, it used to be box.com and
Yeah,
other file sharing software, but no, I'm
yeah,
sure
there's
that there's better
different
ones out
things.
there now.
I use Dropbox sometimes if I have to share something. And then a lot is online, but you know, well, I went through the WM website and a lot of that, well, it's all online, but it goes in, it's a PDF. So I download it and have a folder now with all the WM stuff. So it's a little easier to pull up and read. Or in Sandra's case, to print if she wanted, you know, wanted to make a packet or whatever. So so yeah, when you pull that much together, you might need it into a big folder. So I'll look into that and see what the easiest thing to do is for that everyone can share. Because we can't, like our internal Metro stuff, we can't share a folder for other email addresses. But
Actually, the
um,
reason I need to print it, in all honesty, is I need to be able very often to look at more than one document at the same time, and I've only got 2 screens. And so I'm working, for example, right now on a thing where I have to look at 4 different resources to create one ordinance, and I don't have enough monitors to do all of that.
You're paying.
Oh, awful.
yes, I get that. I like to kind of lay things out and see it at the same time too.
To go back to what you were saying when I jumped on, I apologize for being late, Karen, about how the information makes it to Louisville residents, I think is also an important piece here so that we know what's going out already. If it's not going out, then that makes it a little bit easier for us to create our own based upon the information that's there. So I think that's an important component for us to know what, while there's a lot of information, is it reaching the customer? How it reaches the customer in Louisville, I think is important.
I have to tell you, just from my perspective, the only thing that's reaching our people, and it's certainly a small group, is what Karen's doing on Nextdoor. That is about the only thing people come and say, I've seen it, or there's some icons that Rumpke uses, and they're on different things, and those work too, to some extent, but there's not enough detail. Or there isn't enough detail for people to come and talk to me. It's fair. So her Nextdoor from time to time will cause controversy. Wonderful.
I agree, because people would see that, but then next door is a small subset of the population
Exactly.
that group that reads Karen's stuff is a subset of that subset. That's why I'll say it again, I still think printed material at the place where people are doing it, like a sign on the box, or at least something they can pass out again. I know we've done in the past, have it on your door or wherever your box, whatever don't want you storing your stuff inside your home. The fact to do it while you're doing it, just at somebody's house, the kid was throwing stuff in the trash because there was nothing there to tell him what to do. He knows better. So I still think something that's visual at the place where people are doing it is very, very, very effective. But, but
Actually, I agree with you. Anybody else? Well, I think we've got a direction. What about the specific action, which is the next item on the agenda from the 5-year solid waste?
Yeah, it's interesting, and if you would need me to, I can share my screen if you want. I still have all of the education specific actions. Some of them run together though. So I was kind of trying to see if we were really focusing on one where, you know, that's kind of our, and one of them is actually create a roadmap to standardizing solid waste management messaging across the area. And I almost feel like that's where we keep kind of going, you know. To me, it almost seems first by looking at that roadmap and understanding the best way to do that, because that would lead into the education programs and the toolkits and things like that.
Maybe you better explain to us what you mean by a roadmap.
Well, it's in the 5-year plan.
Hey, Greg, do you think you can mute? I think we're picking up a lot of background noise.
There we go. Thank you. Now, do you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the one, it's under recycling and reuse, and it's the other ones under that chapter were creating outreach and technical assistance programs, and then creating a marketing program. But that last one, this one, I feel like some of the things we're talking about kind of allude to this one. Pete, do you want to explain what?
You're talking about number 18, correct?
Correct.
So we have a lot of different things that we want consistent messaging on. And, you know, symbols, colors, those are things that make a difference when somebody's moving from one part of our solid waste management area to another part of our solid waste management area. If you move and you see the same symbol, regardless of the color, you know that that is recycling. Now, anything that we do here, you know, we're not talking about replacing all of the cart infrastructure in Jefferson County. That would be just absolutely nuts. But a roadmap would be that, you know, we decide on a logo that would be on recycling containers, maybe just the lid. And we transition over a period of 10 to 15 years to get it, you know, the useful life of a cart. So it's looking for something like that for standardizing images, symbols, colors across the solid waste management area, so people know, regardless of where they go, that well, that's a recycle container, or that's a trash container, or that's a yard waste container. So that is what, when I'm thinking of a roadmap, I'm thinking of something like that.
Okay.
And it can include, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to, staying right there with, before you go on to something else. I am not aware, because I only live in one part of Jefferson County, I'm not aware of what all of the things where I live are already marked somehow. Maybe it would be helpful if we started out looking at what's different and what's unmarked.
I agree. I think you don't know where you want to go until you know where you're at. And for Metro, we've got orange recycling containers, full body and lid. We've got black bodies with orange lids. We got black bodies with blue lids. Then we have black and on black. So it's a whole lot of different combinations. We went to blue because that's the national standard color that represents recycling. And that's where we want to go. Now, I understand that companies have branding rules. And that's why I mentioned symbol versus the color of the card.
Or decals. I mean, a fair number of the ones that I look at, at least that's what I think it is. It's just a decal on the side that says recycle.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as adding a consistent recycling symbol across Jefferson County. It can be as simple as that, and I think that is the shorter term solution to potentially, as carts are replaced, we put a more permanent thing in there, because most of our carts are imprinted, not with a sticker. So over time, there's a transition. And of course, we all have to agree upon what that is. And I understand that might be a difficult thing to do. But I think that it would be worth it, considering the complex community that we have and the way that all the different services that are provided. But that's what I'm talking about, a roadmap to standardizing these things, is how are we going to do that? I think, if I'm not mistaken, most everybody agrees that that's a good idea. It's how we get there. That roadmap is what I think we need to do.
What if we just take one component, like the recycling bins, and look at what exists right now? Now, I don't care if we look at recycling bins, but I'm saying, instead of looking at all the panoply of potential areas we'd like to standardize, why don't we just pick one?
We can do that. We can ask all the waste collectors to send us an image of their containers that they use. Pop inside.
Wouldn't this be more than just carts? Would you say dumpsters and everything could also?
Well, I think we could expand, but I think we need to start with something that's doable. And it won't just be carts, because here, for example, we have both carts and the small bins still. So if we just start with what they're doing, let's say in residential areas, then we could move into multifamily and business areas.
I think that's a good idea. I think that helps us get the ball rolling, and the next steps become easier.
Hopefully. Anybody else want to contribute? I'm sure there's other ideas out there. Well, hearing nothing, Pete, do you have a direction?
Takeaway would be a request to the waste haulers to provide images of the containers that they use for residential curbside recycling.
Residential. We're still not quite curbside.
Oh, curbside residential recycling.
No, don't do curbside. Just residential recycling.
Okay.
Single family
Residential
or something
recycling.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the difference between curbside and residential?
Well, we don't do curbside. We've still got backdoor pickup.
Oh.
And I don't want them to not turn anything into you just because we don't. We'll go to curbside, I think, within the next year, but we're not there yet.
Okay, so just call it residential. I would also say all residential containers. So
No,
they
it's
can take it.
basically single family.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Is that okay, Pete?
Yes.
Okay. We're to the end of our agenda unless you have anything else for us.
Well, I will just kind of reiterate some notes I have just to make sure as far as actions that I can do this month. I want to follow up about packets if there's any materials that are given to new subscribers or whatever from our haulers. I will ask Recycling Partnership staff if they have anyone on staff that could help with this idea of kind of bringing together multiple haulers and even multiple MRFs and how that's been done in the past or through them. I'll try to make an online folder or something that makes all these materials easy to access for everyone. And then asking the haulers also for the images of their residential recycling containers.
Karen,
Yes.
I think that request to the waste haulers needs to be to all of them, not just the ones that participate in this in these committee meetings. So if it's a letter of something a little bit more official, maybe we can get a quicker response.
Okay, I'll talk to you about that. I mean, for asking them to present, I did ask all the haulers to present too in the similar, but getting materials is fine. We'll create some kind of request letter.
I know this is a stupid question, but how many haulers do we have?
We have 7 of the type of haulers that we're talking about that do residential recycling. We have the city of Shively, the Department of Public Works in the Urban Services District, and we have Hometown, Ecotech, Rumpke, Republic, and Waste Management. So that's 7, I believe.
How many MRFs?
Oh, I want to take it back. We got one more. Anytime, although they hold a very, very small share of the market.
And how many MRFs are there locally?
Uh,
For the kind of, for what we're talking about?
we have 2 basically that our recycling material feed into. According to some, we only have 1 MRF in town. But we, it's not about the actual facility, it's where the material goes in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, very good. The other thing that I want to bring up that is added here is Tim Darst is on our subcommittee, and he teaches a class at U of L during this time. And he reached out to share that that's why he hasn't come, and he wondered about changing the time. I asked him if the same day, but at 4 o'clock would work so that it still keeps our 2 meetings back to back, and he said it would. So I know not everyone is here, but I said I would kind of put that out there and see what anyone thinks.
I personally would not have a problem with it. It might even be easier.
I wouldn't have an issue with it either. It would probably be easier for me as well.
I could probably do 4, or if you want to ask about 1, I guess that's the 2 options maybe, but yeah.
Marie?
I can do it.
Okay.
Who am I missing? Brian?
Brian is not technically on the subcommittee.
Oh, okay. He's just being nice and coming. Well, I can change
Thank you
too.
for
So it sounds
acknowledging
like,
me, though. Appreciate that, Sandra.
we could all go to at least the,
Just a question, would Brian be able to continue to attend? Because I think his input sometimes is valuable.
agreed.
Brian?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. I'm going to try to attend when available. My actual work duties will be diminished somewhat substantially July 1. So my schedule will be as available, I guess. So, yeah, but thank you for that. And yes, I would hope to attend those monthly if I can. Thank you.
All right. I don't know if that requires a vote or anything, but
Well, we never voted on 2 o'clock.
Good point.
it's true. So, but it does sound like maybe it might be even better for some of our members. So that's good. And I'll send that out on email as a statement that this is happening. And I'll adjust the recurring invite that I have. And for the first month, I'll send an email with a link just to make sure everybody's got it, because I know everyone's calendars are a little bit different on the different technology that we all have. So I don't want anyone to get confused, but hopefully it'll all work out just fine. And we'll switch to 4 o'clock instead on the same Tuesday of the month.
I can make a recommendation. I agree. Just send us a statement, but maybe then ask a question if anybody gets back to you or the group with any issues or comments. Because there's some people not here and some people may think of something later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, it was by Tim's request, and then Ked hasn't attended yet. I don't think. I have to look at the list. And Sarah Lynn, I haven't talked to Sarah Lynn in a while. I'm not sure what's going on, so. Okay. I don't have anything else personally. I don't know if anyone has anything they want to bring up. Or Sandra, if we end up calling it short, that's fine. We'll see some of you again anyway at 3.
Mhm. Well, we'll see everybody certainly the next second Tuesday of the month. And thank you all for coming.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.